Okay, so good evening, everyone. And I hope you all are safe and sound at your place. This pandemic brought a lot of things, but it gave us a chance to be a part of this very nice webinar that Innovation and Entrepreneurship Cell NIT Raipur is conducting for you in collaboration with M.I.C.E Labs. So let me give you a brief introduction about both these institutes. Innovation and Entrepreneurship, NIT Raipur, is a team of most ingenious students, professors who don't just engineer but add value to things. We work hard to develop the innovative instinct in every student and touch as many lives with it. Our team aims to instill the essence of revolution and entrepreneurship amongst the student, reassure and assist innovations through direction, mentorship, and support. We provide an idea friendly environment and take their ideas to the most profitable stage by making out most of it. And similarly, My Lab is a highly appreciative initiative. To fill in the gap between engineers and doctors, they have developed a culture of symbiotic relationship, which is what the world demands most right now. In fact, they face real time problems in JJ Hospital, and they help doctors there to to get out of these problems. And when it comes to MySlab, well, I'm great to tell you that Sri Krishna Chaitanya sir has been heading MySlab since August 2018 in Mumbai, and he has trained and guided more than 600 students in innovation projects, especially healthcare projects. So we are all very thankful to you, sir, for taking your time out and giving us this opportunity to be a part of your webinar on such an important topic, development and prototyping. Thank
Thank
you
you so
so much,
much.
sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sikta. Thank you so much, NIT Raipur, the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Cell. Really glad to hear that, engineering colleges, like especially like NIT Raipur, is taking this initiative to have such a huge, a systematic cell where students can come and express their views, their ideas about entrepreneurship and innovation. And this is something which is going to be the future for India and the Indian ecosystem. So it's been glad for me also to be a part of this, and very glad for all the viewers on Google Meet and YouTube who are viewing this live session. Thank you so much, guys. On a Sunday evening, when this is the time you could chill out with your families, watch a video or watch a movie on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Rather, you chose to be here to learn something new and to inspire me and to give energy to me. Thank you so much to be here. So, without spending much time, let's get into the topic. I'll be sharing a small presentation. Uh, we'll just quickly cover a few concepts through the presentation, and then probably we'll get into question answers. So, I think question answers you can drop it down in the live chat, and we will answer them once we are done with the session. Any questions or anything, we can take it then post the session. Okay. So thank you so much, guys, for being once again over here uh, on this webinar on development and prototyping. So of course, this is not the first stage which comes into the innovation process, but this probably becomes the according to the innovation process, this is the third stage, and according to design thinking, this is the fourth stage. And so design thinking has basically a way on how to have the entire process of design thinking. So starting from empathize, going to testing, so empathize is so you can detailedly cover about what exactly is design thinking in a different course. But that is basically the mantra which is being used for by many corporate companies, many organizations, to use design thinking to solve lot of problems, not just creating products out of it, but also solving problems in services in companies like that. So today I'm here to share with all young and enthusiastic medical students about, enthusiastic students about what exactly is development and prototyping and its importance, and what are the fundamental principles that go behind prototyping. And so these are the contents which we'll be going to see in short. Introduction to innovation, what is prototyping, why prototyping, what are the stages, and how to prototype. We'll just have quick brush through of these things. So before that, I think there is some importance that we need to understand about what is lateral thinking and what is innovative thinking, and its use in the current times, right? So this is a small story about a money lender. I think many of you might have heard this story, but again, I'm just sharing this for those who haven't heard. So basically, there was a money lender in a village, and he actually lent money to a farmer, a poor farmer who was trying to use that money to basically run his crops and run his livelihood. And this so because of drought or something, the yield was not so good, and because of which the farmer couldn't produce that much amount of crops and that much amount of revenue out of which the money lender, so he couldn't repay the money lender very well. So he went and requested the money lender, and he wanted to discuss it out with his friend, the money lender. This farmer also had a daughter, very beautiful young marriageable age daughter. But the money lender again was not a straight man, a crooked fellow. Now, what he exactly said is, okay, we'll just do this because you're not able to repay the loan. What I will do is I will put two conditions. The first condition is that either you give me your daughter in marriage. Now, the old crooked fellow, who's might be the age of the girl's grandfather, but still he's saying, you know, give me your daughter for marriage, or you have to leave this village and, you know, go away. Now the poor farmer was in a fix, you know, what to do. And so he went to the daughter, and then he told, see daughter, this is the situation, what should we do right now? So the daughter said, father, don't worry, let's go and talk to him. And you know, because he's saying that these are the two options that he's giving to us, let's go and discuss it out with him properly. So the daughter goes along with the farmer, and you know, talks to the money lender. The money lender says, okay, so you're agreeing to this, right? So the daughter says, okay, I'll agree to this, but on a condition, you know, we'll put these two options as, like, you know, the modern days how we do a toss. So she said, that days, in those days, she said, uh, take a bag and you'll have one black stone and one white stone. So she said, okay, if now, you know, you put this bag, let this bag be a invisible bag, I can't see what is inside, and let me pick up one of these stones. And if the black stone comes, I will you know, marry you. And then my father's loan will be let go. You let go my father's loan. If the and I'll stay with you only. And if the white stone comes, then you will have to you know, forgive us with our loan, and I need not even get married to you. So that was the condition the intelligent farmer's daughter put. And then the money lender was he was like happy, okay, fine. And again, because of his crooked and wicked nature, this money lender, what he did is, he didn't put one black stone, he put two black stones instead of a white stone. And then the girl actually noticed this particular act of the money lender. And then the girl said, okay, fine. Now she was in a fix, you know, if I pick up the black stone, it is anyways that this money lender is going to cheat us. So you know, what should be the ideal response by the innovator, sorry, the ideal response by the farmer's daughter? Now ideally the farmer's daughter, you know, might have thought, okay, now there is no option, I don't have to do anything. But no, thanks to women empowerment and thanks to the cleverness that this girl showed, what she did is, she picked up a stone and immediately threw it off. And then she told the money lender, so the stone which is there inside, whatever color is there inside, the opposite of that color is what I have picked up and thrown. And you know, she picked it and went through it very quickly so that nobody could even notice which color was it. So the money lender was now in a fix. When he opened, he saw the black stone was there. Now both the black stone was there. So it was as an assumption that she picked up the white stone, and then the money lender was you know, had to let go of the loan, and the farmer's daughter also need not get married to him. The moral of the story of this entire you know, the entire scenario or entire story which happened, the entire discussion which happened between the money lender farmer and the farmer's daughter, shows that how you know, lateral thinking is basically thinking that is trying to think out of the box, you know, solutions. Always in life we have a lot of problems, we see a lot of issues happening around us. The choice is upon us, that should we just keep seeing those problems and just blaming our fate for saying, okay, you know, this is what is my fate and I have to have it like that. Or probably, you know, use your intelligence and use your lateral thinking to basically you know, come out of those problems in an intelligent fashion. And that's why today's world, it is very very important that we need to develop such thinking. And right now all of us are facing this pandemic, this particular time, when you know, the whole world is in a fix. So two ways: either we sit at home and worry that, you know, oh, the pandemic has caused such a problem, or we actually think something and solve this problem in different ways, whatever ways is possible for us, right? So the fundamental question and the fundamental thing that, you know, any person coming across this terminology, what is innovation, is always a question and always a confusion, right? So giving you a clarity about what is this term, the process of translating an idea or an invention into a good or a service that creates value. If you have noted, I've highlighted the creates value part. So innovation is not something that you make anything and out of everything, but that is something which is creating value, and that kind of a value which is commercializable, that means which your customers are willing to pay for it, that is something that is innovation, right? And it has to be called as an innovation. The idea must be replicable and at an economical cost, right? We today, the whole world is trying to look at frugal innovations. Frugal innovations means that something which maintains the huge quality, the high quality of the product, and also gives at a lower and affordable cost. And especially talking about healthcare systems in India as the subjects to Indian scenario, uh, we definitely need to find out frugal innovations, because we understand the kind of background the people in India carry about, right? And frugality is what exactly drives innovation, right? So there might be a lot of technology that is coming in the world which is having a huge potential, but if it is not frugal, or frugal means if it is not affordable with that value, then probably it won't create that kind of an impact that it might create. So, this is something which is very, very important for us to understand, that anything you create is not an innovation. Innovation basically means something that creates value, which is commercializable. That means your customers are willing to pay for it. And again, everybody comes in the fix. What is the difference between these two terms, invention versus innovation? Invention is nothing but a technical way of solving the problem. You create a product or a process or anything, you use a methodology, you make it. But innovation is adding something else. It's the icing on the top of the cake. It's basically saying that you are able to sell your invention to the market when your customers are going to buy it. That is basically what differentiates innovation from invention, right? So when invention gets married with commercialization, when you have a blend of invention and commercialization, that is what is called innovation. And both of it have its different parameters and processes involved along with it. But together these things form one whole thing that's known as innovation, right? So I hope the innovation fundamentals is clear, that what exactly is innovation. Now let's understand a little bit about the innovation process. So now, for example, IIT Bombay follows a 4D process. Stanford Design School, Stanford D School, follows a different kind of an innovation process. Stanford Biodesign is also following. The Harvard Design School also follows a certain design process. A lot of cells and knowledge centers of the world follow different innovation processes, but the principle of all these design processes remains the same, right? And that is basically the discovery, design, development, and deployment. So this is a 4D formula which basically is followed, and each stage carries its own different criterias and fundamentals. So discovery is basically where you do your research, you have discussions, you develop a creative brief, you find out what exactly is the problem by doing research. Then design is when you do ideation. Ideation is something collecting a lot of ideas, putting them together, prioritizing them, and giving them solutions, giving them concepts, giving solutions. Concepts are basically offering a number of solutions to one kind of a problem. And development is nothing but where you actually get into hands on, where you actually develop your entire product, right? You develop your product and you have a layout, you do programming. It may be a software product, it may be a hardware product, whatever it might be. You can even develop a process or a system over here. It's not necessary that you need to make a physical product, but it can also be a service model, right? So for example, like Uber and Ola, these are service models, these are service rendering industries. They're not manufacturing cars. They're giving you a service where you can get cab services very easily. So it's a service model, right? Same to go with Swiggy and Zomato. These food processors, they're not manufacturing food, they're just connecting the customer to the restaurants very well. So that is again a process that is more of a service design kind of a concept. And once you're done with your development part, coming back to the innovation process, once you're done with the development part, comes to the deployment part, where you actually do a lot of refinement, improvement, testing. You go to users, ask them, like, how, what do you think, how is this looking like, is it really making sense? And then once all these things get clear, that is the time when you go for a final launch. So this is the 4D process in short, the innovation process. Then comes the main subject of today's discussion, the subject matter of today's discussion. What exactly means prototyping, right? So the word states, okay, prototyping seems huge. Probably we might have heard it here and there, but you know, the standard definition, or maybe I would say this is the proper Wikipedia definition of what exactly prototyping. But in short, it means that creating a process where you can experiment, where you can develop and build quick and dirty samples and models of your idea, right? So it's basically an experimental process where teams implement ideas into tangible forms, varying, it could be even paper to digital. Different kinds of prototypes you can make. It could be a paper prototype, it could be a digital prototype. Okay, we'll discuss these things in detail a little more ahead. But yeah, uh, the fundamental principle is that it is an experimental process. So if you understand that it's an experimental process, that means this is not something that has to be the final stage. You do a lot of experimentation, you develop, and then at a final stage, when you reach the conclusion, that what is that conclusion, also I'll answer it in the further slides, and give you a basic idea of what exactly prototyping means, right? So basically, it's an experimental process. So understand that there is a lot of iterations going to be possible, right? So like we all have heard that famous saying that Thomas Alva Edison, the person who's developed the bulb, right? That the filament based bulb. So we all have heard that particular phenomenon that Thomas Alva Edison did not make the bulb in the first attempt. He had to do a lot of experimentation. People say it's about a 99 stages, like many quotes and thoughts also say about that Thomas Alva Edison had 99 trials, and probably in the 100th trial he got the success of building the light bulb. Okay, so I understand what is prototyping, but the question is, okay, why prototypes? Okay, you said, okay, we need to do experimentation, we need to do a lot of iterations and develop your initial concepts, probably in paper formats or in digital formats, whatever. But why should I do this? So there's a famous saying by one of a famous innovator. He says this, that prototyping is basically conversation with your ideas. Now, every day when we keep walking around the street or walking around anywhere, or sitting around, we get a lots and lots of thoughts, and in these lot of thoughts to solve problems, we get a lot of ideas together. So because of these ideas, now what happens is many kinds of such ideas keep coming. Okay, so the question is, are all these ideas practically possible? Is it implementable? Is it feasible? It is viable? These kind of questions, when it comes, that is the right time when you actually need to start making your prototype, right? And prototyping is basically that whatever ideas you have got, you're actually enacting them in a physical format. And that is what exactly gives you the clarity behind what exactly prototyping is. And so what happens again is the next way is that your prototypes basically are something. If it was an idea, it is in your mind. But how can an idea prove is it successful, whether it is successful or whether it's going to be a failure, right? What is the best way to prove it that it is going to be successful? The best way is when you actually develop a prototype and you give it out to your users. And before even giving it to your users for getting feedback, you yourselves who are making that particular product or the prototype, because you used that particular thing, you've made it with your own hands, you understand that whether my idea, what I'm thinking, is it really feasible, is it practicable? And that is what gives you the exact answer for your idea question. because I might get an idea to create a space shuttle. But unless and until I launch an initial version of a rocket, which can at least crack open the atmosphere of the Earth, like, if it can just escape the gravitational force and the thrust of the Earth's pull and go to the universe, if it is inserted into the universal orbit, that is when I can prove, okay, my concept is correct. Now I need to work upon it further, right? But if I just think, okay, I need a rocket that can take me to Mars, but I don't know how to launch it, I don't know whether it's going to work, and this is the best way to understand it, by creating a prototype, right? So all of you have seen that movie, Mangalyaan, right? Mission Mangal. Yeah, so we it is basically showing the entire story and the journey of how India launched its first Mars mission vehicle, that is the Mangalyaan. And we also see a lot of struggles that these people faced, and they did a lot of testing behind everything before launching it. And so it was a pilot run, and it basically was a huge success for the Indian Space Research Organization. And so basically what I'm trying to conclude on, uh, you know uh, over here, to trying to say that prototyping basically gives you a feasibility check, or maybe it gives you a reality check, whether your product or whether your idea, is it really possible, practicable, and implementable. Prototyping also has another advantage. Many times in entrepreneurship or in innovation, when we talk about commercial level stuff also, we always see that our partners prototype, or maybe our opponents prototype, right? So our opponent's idea, or our opponent's this thing might be much better than what we have, right? So just a representation of how a boy looks out for a girl when he already has his girlfriend. And the kind of the guys, all with all of you there, probably can relate to what they exactly see on the screen, that you're checking out the other opponents, whether how, what kind of additional features are there, right? So I'm talking this more upon business terms, that your opponent might always be doing better, and that's what basically leads the entire competition in the business world, right? But yes, it helps you to give improvement to you, what you are making, right? So when you make a prototype, you can see others also what they are doing. And but when you make something, you can get a lot of user feedback, and you can actually see how is it really competent to your opponent's prototype, or opponent's ideas. Now I think we are sufficiently convinced that what a prototype can offer to us and why is it necessary. But I think we have also heard these kind of terms. Somebody says, okay, proof of concept, somebody says prototyping, somebody says MVP. What are these terms? What are these kind of terminologies that is we are hearing? Is it really something to do with prototyping? Let's get a quick check about it. So the first sequence that goes is, over here we are starting from the right side. The first is POC, that is proof of concept, right? What is a proof of concept? It is nothing but to check whether your idea is doable. So prototyping also has one of its element, and before getting into an actual prototype, you need to develop a proof of concept. Let's take an example of a mobile phone. So before I make this mobile phone, I need to make a cardboard based structure, or let me talk about a product based service, product based example for this prototyping. So if I want to make this mobile phone, I need to basically figure out the entire layout, right? I need to understand, okay, how is the mobile phone's exterior looks going to be? Where should the camera be placed? Where should the fingerprint sensor should be placed? Where should the lock button be placed? Where should the speakers, the microphone, the charging ports, and where should the touch panel? How much inches to the screen should be? These are all the external lookouts. So it's not necessary that I use the mobile phone's actual elements to make it. I can actually make it with using wood, cardboard, and thermocol, any of those things, to actually make it look similar to your final product. And this is basically showing that I want to launch a new mobile phone, and this mobile phone looks like this. This is basically what I said is your proof of concept. I have an idea of having a mobile phone with these kind of principles, with these kind of features in it, these kind of design in it. So this is how it is going to look like. That is basically your proof of concept. The second foremost thing is, once your proof of concept is clear, then go to the prototyping stage, where you actually, so once you understand, okay, my mobile phone looks like this, so I understand that yes, I can develop this kind of a mobile. Now fit inside the electronic circuit, put the LCD screen or the LEDs display, put the touch panel, put the speakers, put the cameras, put all the circuitry inside, let the technology get inside. Now, once the technology gets inside, you still are still doing it on a rough scale. Now, what you do is, once the technology gets inside, you actually test it on your own self. You try it. Okay, is the touch panel effective? No, these kind of buttons are not working. This touch is not happening in this particular thing. The touch sensitivity is not correct. So then you understand, okay, this is not correct, I need to change these kind of things. Now you understand, okay, in the market has a better technology, maybe it has a better built structure, and then you actually implement those things in your prototype, where you actually feed in all the kinds of technology, or the kinds of things that is basically sensitizing. You understood the flaws and what is the problem in using this kind of a thing. So for example, some mobile phones were really bulky. Now you see there's a lot of slim mobile phones have been coming these days, right? So what is exactly happening behind? So people are understanding what are the flaws behind of a mobile phone, and there where you actually innovate, you basically make those kind of prototypes. Once you check that your flaws have been corrected, be it technology based flaws, be it design based flaws, all those things are done, then you get on to the next stage. The next stage is basically you're making a product. MVP stands for minimum viable product, right? So your product, you're making a product which is basically going to look like the original product which you're going to launch, but with using very very cheap materials, and getting the product going to look very close to the final product which you're going to implement, right? And MVP, minimum viable product, which is going to be working, which is going to be implemented and improved from the flaws which you have identified by prototyping. And then the final stage is when you actually develop a minimum viable product, which you start making as a test or a pilot run, and then you actually check, so did I give the value for what exactly I was making for the prototype, right? Remember in the first slide I mentioned that what exactly is innovation. Innovation is something that you're giving as a value, you're creating as a value, you're using your invention to create value for your users or your customers, right? The person for whom you're building this. And so in this MVP stage, you basically check, am I actually offering that value? People wanted communication. Communication could be WhatsApp chats, could be texting, could be even messaging, could be even calls, could be video calls. Is this mobile phone offering that value, right? So that is your value which your customer gets, right? And once you check that value, that is what is your MVP, and that is when your product is a success, and then it can go ahead to the market, right? So understanding all these stages in what exactly happens in a prototype, now let's get onto the next idea or the next stage. Okay, fine, I know why should I prototype, I know what exactly is a prototype, I know the stages that is involved in a prototyping. Now let's understand some hands-on concepts and principles behind how should I get my hands together for prototyping. So I'll take you through three phases: before, during, and after prototyping. What exactly do you need to remember, and what is your tips which you need to follow? So before prototyping, you need to have your basic idea. So first question you need to ask yourselves is my idea complete? Am I having a complete idea, or am I still having some thoughts, bits and pieces of my idea here and there, which I have not connected the dots together? So first of all, complete your idea. Before, do not come with an incomplete plan with to the innovation space, or to your work desk where you are actually going to start prototyping. Do not come with an incomplete plan. Please have an advanced plan before you come to your innovation, your work desk. The second thing, you always need to be very very cautious at every stage of the innovation process, starting from the first stage to the last stage. You always have to keep this in mind. The second question, who are you prototyping for? What are you making this for? What is this innovation for, right? So innovation is not for you, it is for the user. Understand that particular terminology. It's not for you, it's for the user, right? So keep that user in your mind. And that is what is called as human centric design or user centric design, right? So understand that who are you prototyping this for? Understand your target audience, who is your users, and what are their needs. Okay. The third point is create an outline for the entire project, the entire prototype. Give a timeline, give a journey line of, journey map of how your prototyping journey is going to look like. What are the stages that will be involved, and what are you going to do at what particular stage? The fourth point is don't get distracted by the details. Many times what happens is we get into the details. As engineers also, we have that particular feel. Okay, should I use a MG14 sensor, or should I use an MG35 sensor? Which one was going to give me more accuracy? So the details kind of many times pull away from the original idea of what exactly we're trying to do. So don't get distracted by the details, but yes, pay attention to the details, whether it is giving you effectiveness towards your entire product, right? But don't get distracted by it. The fourth and the final step which you need to keep in your mind, the fifth the step which you need to keep in your mind before you are prototyping, is you need to have a documentation of whatever you're doing. Now, what is the importance of this documentation? I can tell you by my personal experience. Even at M.I.C.E Labs, when we actually do a lot of initiatives, a lot of projects which we do, many of these projects go undocumented. And what happens is we actually tend to forget the kinds of details which we have put into the projects. And then we lose off the entire the learnings, probably the mistakes which we might have committed from those prototypes or the documents. We tend to lose all that stuff when we get into the next project, right? So every project gives offers you something as a good learning. So this is basically going to help you as a learning stage, that your product your project teaches you a lot of lessons. And if you document these things as an entire process, that what exactly you need to have your project and your entire plan, and the entire team should also be able to access it. Keep up a proper process, fix that particular thing before you start prototyping. Before getting on to the next, like the during the prototyping, what all things do you need to remember? I would like to give you this particular concept that's known as the fab concept. It's a very simple concept to understand. Again, I'll use the smartphone feature, the example to give an understanding about what exactly do you need to list down when you're writing your outline. So when you're writing your outline for your project, you need to keep in mind your fab concept. The first and foremost thing is feature, right? So you're making a prototype, and you're convincing your customer about what exactly your product is going to look like. So what are you going to convince your customer with? Because I said it is, you're making this for your user, so the ultimate thing is that it is going to be for the user. And so the main thing you need to understand is what is the selling points that you're going to offer for your user, right? And those selling points are basically your fab concept. Okay, the first and foremost thing is feature. Now, what are the features that will include? Okay, so let me take an example. If you want to sell your customer a smartphone, right? A smartphone with an innovative feature or a new kind of a feature. For example, have you heard about this feature that is known as NT transfer? In, like, with just in physical proximity, if you just touch the phone, your files can get transferred to your others, like your friend's phone. So this kind of a feature is a new feature that had come in the phones probably a year ago or something. And it has created a revolution in terms of data transfer. Even if you don't have internet, using phones electromagnetic radiations, the data can be transferred. And so the first and foremost thing is, this phone has probably a feature which is basically the NT transfer one. By just giving a tap onto the other's phone, your data can be transferred there, right? So this is a selling point which you call it as feature. The second thing is, you say advantage. Okay, probably my phone has this kind of a feature with a very less cost. So you're trying to show an advantage of what is your feature, the kind of advantage that your user gets for the other, probably for the other competitors, or for the user, what advantage is he going to get? Probably your user, he or she might have a phone which is very simple, may not be having the features of transporting transferring files so efficiently. But what is the advantage that the user is getting is that, without the advantage is that it is at a very low cost, you're able to get that particular thing. Now, the third point in the fab concept, the B stands for benefit, right? Benefit is something that is going, you are offering as a benefit for your user or your customer, right? Now, all this is fine, that the feature is okay, the advantage is okay, but what is the benefit that the customer is going to gain from this particular phone? Even though if the customer says, I have internet, and if the internet connection goes wrong, we all understand how internet is these, we it has become a valuable resource these days. And if internet connection goes wrong, a lot of issues come, right? So even if the internet connection goes wrong, you still have a scope for transferring files even without internet. That is the benefit that you're offering to your users. So, coming, just summarizing, FAP feature is where you're actually giving a feature. Okay, this has an NT transfer technology in it. Okay, second is advantage, at a very low cost you're getting it. But the third thing, the benefit which your customer is gaining, that even though you don't have internet, you can still transfer files. So this is something that is your customer is getting as a benefit, and that is more, what do you say, it is more uh, convincing for the customer to accept what you're trying to develop. So why I'm telling you about this fab concept is, when, if you remember these three terms while developing your prototype, it becomes very easy to convince it at your testing stage, and convince your users. Okay, so I hope you're very clear with this. Now look at the 4 points what you need to remember during the prototyping. The first and foremost thing is, you need to understand the journey map. So I told you, the before the stage, that create an entire timeline, your outline, create an entire journey map. What all stages are going to be implemented? The first thing is, in during prototype, look at it again and start from the step one. Start with the main pain point. So the, choose the main work which you have to do. So coming back to this example, what was the main pain point in this? Even without internet, I should be able to transfer files. So the main pain point was transferring files without internet, and then gets into the technology of the NT transfer one, right? So that was your main pain point, and you start working on it. Then, the third thing is that many times we as an individual have a specific skill of expertise, but we need to have collaboration. So for example, if we are creating a healthcare product, or if we are creating, say, a mobile phone. Now there are three kinds of people who are involved in a mobile phones this thing. There is one person who is the electronics and telecommunication engineer, who gets into the technology and the circuitry behind the mobile phone. The second one is a mechanical engineer who sits on the design and external lookouts, and the materials behind it. Should I use glass? Should I use fabric? Should I use plastic? Which kind of a plastic should be going in? Is it durable? If it falls from a height, the phone's internal circuitry shouldn't be damaged, right? So the mechanical aspect goes into that. The third thing is the designer's aspect, that is the usability of the phone. Okay, what goes into the mobile phone? Where should the camera be placed? How much megapixels should the camera have, in order that the user gets a clarity picture, right? uh, where should the gallery bar be? How should the gallery bar look like? Where should be the image placements? And so even integral software changes, and even exterior comfort for the user. So a designer basically increases the usability and comfort for the user, right? So all three have a valid role to play. So what I'm trying to say is, in prototyping, it is not that one person can make the entire prototype. You need to collaborate with different set of expertise, and that is basically, so for innovation also, it is said collaboration is the key, right? So collaboration is the key for innovation, not one person can make. And that is why we at M.I.C.E Labs also aim that we collaborate, not just medical students and doctors, but also engineering, design, management, and different aspects of students with different expertise come together to develop something which is very crucial and which is very innovative for the users. The fourth and foremost point which you need to remember during prototyping is do a small and quick prototypes. You first start making small steps. Take baby steps to go to the higher stage, right? Don't get into the final and the first most thing ki pehle jaise you come onto that you're coming out with an extravagant or a fantabulous product. Don't come with that ideas. Always see that start making with something small. Okay, so if I want to make a prototype of this phone, or maybe if I want to prototype this particular mouse, pick up probably a cardboard box, or whatever is available with you, and make a rough sketch of it, draw those things, make an outline of those things. So set some kind of a timeline for you. So maybe you put as a deadline, okay, I will go for an hour. 1 hour, within 1 hour I should be completing the entire mouse structure, right? If I want to create a gaming mouse, what I need to do, you need to entirely make the design and the outline of your entire thing and create it using clay or thermocol. I'm sorry for the spelling mistake. It is supposed to be thermocol, not thermometer. Thermocol, cardboard, paper. Use these tools which is available nearby, and try to use your artistic skills and creative skills. Be as creative as possible and create a prototype of your this thing. So create it very very rough, and then get user feedback, then get feedback, come back to your work desk, improve it again. So this is in an iterative process when you actually do prototyping. Once you have done your prototype, go get frequent feedbacks. Go to your users, ask them, does this make sense? Does this look like what you're expecting? So I know many entrepreneurs who basically develop products. So I know particularly one entrepreneur who's making edutech kits for students to tinker, to learn about how it is. So what this person does is he makes a product, he goes back to his so he's making it for kids, right? So who's the user? The first most user is the kid, right? So what he does is he develops that entire kit. He gives this to his son or daughter, and he tells them to play with it and tell them what exactly is lacking in it, right? So the son is probably 3-4 years old, and that fellow, he plays with it and he understands the entire thing, and then he gives valuable suggestion what probably we as adults may also not be able to think. That is something we get from a kid, right? And that is what exactly gives you a quick feedback from your prototype. So make something like that and give it to the relevant users, and then let them try it out, test it out, give you some feedback, you come back and improve it. So rework, iterate, that's what I told you. The third thing is that many times what happens is for example, I took this mouse example. So this again has a mechanical structure, it has an electronic structure. So you might have a specific expertise, put all these things together for a final prototype. And then the last one is keep a standard notebook where you can note down these feedbacks of your customers. Many times we hear them, but we probably lose them. So you can ask your customers, you're asking them, you can maybe ask them probably, so can I record this conversation, or maybe can I keep a quick notes of what you're giving your feedback. You can ask them comfortably, and they will give you valuable feedback. You can keep that as a note, so that will help you to keep your prototyping improvement and iterative. So here at M.I.C.E Labs also we do a lot of prototyping such activities, and empathize, design, deliver, deploy, prototype, test, and a lot of these stages we do not just with medical students, but as a collaborative with engineering, medical, and design students coming together. At M.I.C.E Labs we have a space in JJ Hospital, Mumbai, and we allow this kind of a space for people to come and explore ideas and to develop a lot of innovations. So I would just like to conclude. I hope I was clear with the entire process of the prototyping thing, and I hope I'm giving a conclusion that many times we get a lot of good ideas, but the best way to get good ideas is to throw away all the bad ideas. And before throwing away all the bad ideas, get a lot of ideas. Bring a lot ideas together, and then throw away all the bad ideas. There you get your good ideas. Now this looks like a simple statement, but it makes a lot of sense, right? Many times if we want to make one project, we bring only one or two ways to look at it, but for making one project there are 100 ways of looking at it. try to look at those 100 200 ways, bring a lot of such ideas, and then throw away, filter down your process. And there is what you exactly look at the entire, you bring out the best of what you think. And that is basically, that is called as creative freedom or imagination. You have a lot of freedom in when you're imagination, and your ideas allow you to imagine prototypes in, allow you to create that imagination. It's like a dream come true. Okay, so that's all. This is just our contact details for M.I.C.E Labs. Anybody wants to get in touch with us, you want to ask questions, you have certain doubts or anything you would like to ask, here are our website. You can go to our website www.micelabs.in. This is our contact number, email ID, and we are also available on all these social media channels. We have a YouTube channel, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. You can follow us on these channels. If you want later, I can just send the handles to all of you, and you can stay connected with us. You can ask us questions. We will be always ready to help you out. Uh, Before just getting on, Sikta, do we have a minute, like just about 5 minutes
Sure,
time?
sir. Sure, sir.
Yeah. So I would like to show all of you now. All this thing, whatever I said, was just what is theoretical knowledge, which is there on the presentation. But let me tell you about how prototyping becomes a practice, right? Of course, these things which I've put is also out of practice and experience what we have put. But other than that, let us also understand from the world's renowned people who are actually practicing these aspects in time, right? So just to introduce this particular concept, this is known as IDEO. IDEO is basically an organization at a world level organization, which is a design thinking firm, one of the top design thinking firms in the entire world. Even Stanford Design School and all these big organizations are also connected to IDEO, and they take a lot of ideas. They're the chief for design and design thinking. Okay, so this IDEO basically has done a small sample pilot project, and it is basically known as shopping cart. So creating the shopping cart better. Okay, so I'm going to share a small video about how IDEO, what kind of a process do they entirely follow with. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, sir, it is visible. And
Yeah.
you can start playing.
Tonight, the deep dive. One company's secret weapon for innovation.
9 in the morning, day one, and these people have a deadline to meet.
So, welcome to the kickoff of the shopping cart project.
This is Palo Alto, California, in the heart of Silicon Valley. These are designers at IDEO, probably the most influential product development firm in the world.
The point is that we're not actually experts at any given area. We're kind of experts on the process of how you design stuff. So we don't care if you give us a toothbrush, a toothpaste tube, a tractor, a space shuttle, a chair. It's all the same to us. We want to figure out how to innovate by using our process, applying it.
Project leader is Peter Skillman, a 35-year-old Stanford engineer. Project leader because he's good with groups, not because of seniority. He's only been at IDEO for 6 years. The rest of the team is eclectic, but that's typical here. Whitney Mortimer, Harvard MBA. Peter Coughlin, linguist. Tom Kelly, Dave's brother, marketing expert. Jane Fulton-Suri, psychologist. Alex Kazaks, 26, a biology major, who's turned down medical school 3 times because he's having too much fun at IDEO. As the team works, it becomes clear there are no titles here, no permanent assignments.
In a very innovative culture, you can't have a kind of hierarchy of here's the boss and the next person down, the next person down, the next person down, because it's impossible that the boss is the one who's had the insightful experience with shopping carts. It's just not possible.
The team splits into groups to find out firsthand what the people who use, make, and repair shopping carts really think.
Okay, go.
The problem with the plastic cart is the wind catches it. Yeah. And these things have been clocked at 35 across the parking lot.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. The trick is to find these real experts, and so that you can learn much more quickly than you could by just kind of doing it the normal way and trying to learn about it yourself.
From everything I read, these things aren't that safe either, you know? So probably the seat itself is going to have to be redesigned.
3:30 in the afternoon, and the group is back at IDEO. There is no let-up.
Each team is going to demonstrate and communicate and share everything that they've learned today.
We were in the store, 2 hours, and it was truly frightening just to see the kind of stuff going on.
After 9 straight hours, the team is tired. They call it a day. IDEO's mantra for innovation is written everywhere. One conversation at a time. Stay focused. Encourage wild ideas. Defer judgment. Build on the ideas of others.
That's the hardest thing for people to do, is to restrain themselves from criticizing an idea. So if anybody starts to nail an idea, they get the bell.
The ideas pour out and are posted on the walls.
Oh, the blind, the privacy blind. Like when you're buying 6 cases of condoms, no one sees. If it doesn't nest, we don't have a solution.
Organized chaos. It's not organized. What it is it's focused chaos.
Vote with your post-it, not with an idea that's cool, but with an idea that's cool and buildable. If it's too far out there and it can't be built in a day, then I don't think we should vote on it.
Enlightened trial and error succeeds over the planning of the lone genius. If anything sums up IDEO's approach, that is it.
If you don't work under time constraints, you could never get anything done, because it's a messy process to go on forever.
Back at the shop, it is 6 o'clock. The 4 mock-ups are ready for showing.
Baskets also can be, if you think you will have more volume, baskets can be put in.
A modular shopping cart you pile hand baskets onto. A high-tech cart that gets you through the traffic jam at checkout.
That you could mount a scanner on the shopping cart so that you, as the customer, as you pull it off the shelf, would scan each item.
One that's built around child safety, and another that lets shoppers talk to the supermarket staff remotely.
Yeah, where can I find a yogurt?
But the adults, again, decide more work needs to be done before the mock-ups can be combined into one last prototype.
Why don't we have all the carts come up here for a second?
I think you take a piece of each one of these ideas and kind of back it off a little bit and then put it in the design.
The design is still not there. But there's another motto at IDEO: fail often in order to succeed sooner. And some of the team will be up half the night trying to put together a design that finally does work.
There it is! So we took the best elements out of each prototype.
The cart, which is designed to cost about the same as today's carts, is different in every other way. The cart's wheels turn 90 degrees so it can move sideways. No more lifting up the rear in a tight spot. And you shop in a totally different way. The bags are hung on hooks on the cart's frame. Remember, there is no basket here.
At first, I was a little shocked, but I think you have some fantastic ideas here. It needs a little refining, but I think that it's great. I mean, we would want them.
A lot of hours. Also, an open mind, a boss who demands fresh ideas be quirky and clash with his, a belief that chaos can be constructive, and teamwork, a great deal of teamwork. And these are the recipe for how innovation takes place.
So I hope you could see through that particular example of how you redesigned the entire shopping cart. If you see, the entire video showed you about how they covered all the stages of innovation, which I mentioned, discovery, then even defining your needs, and also talking about development, and also getting your deployment and user testing, user validation, feedback. So everything was clearly conveyed in that particular video. And that's what is IDEO. It's a world-class forum that is basically doing this. A lot of internet-based articles also, you can find it out. Go to Google and do a search about IDEO. You'll get a lot of interesting insights and amazing things to discuss about. And you see the kind of collaboration these kind of people brought in. Somebody was a biologist, somebody was an MBA Harvard graduate, somebody was a project manager, somebody was an entrepreneur, somebody was, different fields coming together designer, everybody's coming and adding their own aspects. So it's an amazing thing that people can learn from this kind of a example of what exactly the IDEO shopping cart can give. That is just an example, but you can apply this principle to every kind of product, right? So I hope that is clearing and conveying a lot of thoughts and myths about prototyping, and it gives a lot of learning about it. Thank you so much. So I think if we have time, we can take question answers and
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, so that was quite an insightful session, sir. And I hope those who have attended this must be answered some of the questions that they had in their minds about prototyping and development. But there are a few that we asked them to drop down questions while registering, so that we know it beforehand. And some of the very interesting questions are, can you please state the skills and softwares needed to build a prototype, especially for prototypes of medical devices?
Okay, so medical devices, when you're talking, is it like a physical medical device or is it like a medical software you're trying to develop?
I guess he's trying to have this medical device kind of like hardware device.
Yeah, sure. So if you're making something based upon a hardware, your hardware also comes through many stages. So if you apply these principles of prototyping, all these things will definitely come in. Okay. So now in softwares, let me get into the details of the question. The main is asking what kind of tools are required. First and foremost thing, if you're doing a physical product, make it with your hands using those materials if you're making it physically. Apart from that, if you want to do digital prototyping or rapid prototyping, you can use a lot of tools. First of all, you can use something that's known as Tinkercad. Okay, Tinkercad. This is basically a product of AutoCAD. All of you heard about AutoCAD, Autodesk. Autodesk is the huge company that is making these softwares. So Tinkercad is a place where you can actually virtually, make your entire product. You can put all the electronics also together. You may not see how, you may even see it as a simulation on how it is going to work, but it will not offer you, you can see it virtually. So you can show it even before the first time, before you get physical, you make something physical, you can do it on a virtual level by making that entire simulation. So Tinkercad is one of those tools which, it's very easy. There's no much of complex coding or anything there. It's very easy. Anybody can use, and even small children do a lot of prototyping using Tinkercad. So that is one of the tools. You have a lot of other CAD softwares which offer you a simulation atmosphere where a simulation, virtual simulation atmosphere interface which they give you. Basically, you can create a model, 3D, three-dimensional model of it and develop something like that. You can make it in the virtual listing. So a lot of CAD softwares are available in these terms.
Yes, in fact, I have used some while making my project. So Tinkercad is a very useful thing that one can approach to. And there are a few questions that you have already answered while your presentation. Also, one was how rapid prototyping is used in industry.
Okay, so in industry, rapid prototyping has become like a very, very revolutionizing thing right now. If you see, 3D printing is basically taking over the entire rapid prototyping sector. So ideally, 3D printing is not just about rapid prototyping, but you can use 3D printers to make a rapid prototype. So I would say you can abuse the 3D printer to actually get your rapid prototype. So what happens is basically all these CAD softwares allow you to make a virtual model. And many times, so for example, if again coming back to the mobile phone example, so okay, let me take away the mobile phone. Let me give you the mouse example because mobile phone bahut zyada ho raha tha. So the mouse example, if I want to make a prototype of a mouse, now this is all made, like just talking on engineering terms also, this external things is made of injection molding. So all this PVC plastic is made with injection molding, and all these pieces are put together after you get the final mold together. Now, what happens is with injection molding is that you need some time and effort for it, right? There is some kind of a discrepancy that injection molding offers. So what you do is basically in industry, what these people do is if they want to manufacture these kind of mouses, first of all, before launching the mouse into the market, they basically they actually take build the entire design on a CAD model, and they 3D print the entire thing. So 3D printing may not be as super finished as what the final product would look like, but it at least gives you the 98% of how the product is going to work, right? And nowadays 3D printing has gone to, like, the additive manufacturing sector in manufacturing industries. They have changed it into such a way that using 3D printing you can even get the final product out, right? So that kind of a precision and accuracy 3D printing has started offering. So basically, I would say, to summarize the entire question, the answer to the question is that rapid prototyping is basically adopted by using 3D printing and its tools for solving quick products and problems there.
And next is a quite vague question. It says that he wants to work with his medical team. So give us ideas on how to become an entrepreneur in medical field.
Okay. So I'll just give you a very rough short answer, maybe, but I can give you details on, you can look out. So in June 2020, this year, June, the month of June, we had done a course that's known as Startup in Crisis. So it is a complete entrepreneurship course. All the videos have been uploaded to our YouTube channel. I would suggest this person to go there and read, view through those videos, different topics, which is very relevant. I picked up even prototyping from from inspiration sessions from experts over there, and I presented today. So these people, all these courses basically help you to think like an entrepreneur. It gives you the basic tools of having various aspects what an entrepreneur needs to keep in mind and keep as an important note for becoming an entrepreneur. Apart from that, your basic and foremost thing is you need to have your clear visions and goals. And entrepreneurship is not a joke. It's not a game that you can play at any time, or you can do everything and anything whatever you want, and you can just keep having, you can commit yourself to say an entrepreneur. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. Entrepreneurship needs time, commitment, dedication, and perseverance. And it also needs something that's very important, that's known as grit. Grit means, even if I don't inspire you, and even if that particular idea is no more inspiring to what it was inspiring before, you're not getting a positive feedback from people, this particular you should still have the motivation to go ahead with it. And that is what as it should be as a fundamental principle with you as an entrepreneur. Apart from this, all the technical details coming is finding the right idea, identifying your user customer segments, identifying the market, understanding the market scenario, understanding business aspects, understanding product development, hiring, collaboration, team building, team structuring, process management, then finding the right investor, how to pitch your entire idea. Is your entire idea, or your business, is it a service, is it a product based service, or is it a product innovation, is it a business innovation, is it a service innovation? All those things come into picture. You develop it as an entire business model. Is it viable? Have you tested it with your users? Have you done a lot of things? All these aspects come into entrepreneurship, and then finally you can then start get rolling into the market when you actually get into these things. But many entrepreneurs start it from a very early stage. They start developing prototypes, they start developing pilots, they test run it, they offer services to organizations, they ask organizations to give them feedback, and that's how they improve. And slowly if they prove some success, an investor who is ready to invest in that particular sector, or in that particular segment of entrepreneurship. So if he's saying healthcare, so find a team of medical students, find a team of engineering, biomedical, and biotechnology, whatever is your product or idea, find a team of those kind of people where you can collaborate with these people as an interdisciplinary thing, and then go ahead with your entrepreneurship this thing. Before that, also identify that what happens is, as an entrepreneur, again, there's lack of time, otherwise this is a 1 hour topic again. What exactly are the skills you need to understand about entrepreneurship? One thing you also need to understand is, I for example, I'm leading the team. I carry a certain vision. Is the same vision and mission what I am carrying is with all my co-founders and all my team members? Are they coming together with the same common goal? If that is there, then you'll be a successful person to take it ahead, because your people will help you to build that success, right? Because what happens is many times leaders think that I have some kind of a vision, and probably the team doesn't believe in that vision, so then they can't help you to reach to that vision, right? So this is something which is a leadership principle also embedded in entrepreneurship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was quite a nice answer to that question. We
Yeah.
have, I think, last question from our registration, and that
Yeah.
is role of a doctor in the development of a healthcare startup.
Okay, very good question. So I think this is something very, very, a very, I could say, must ask question, or frequently asked questions that many medical students and doctors try to example. They ask these kind of questions because the thing why a doctor needs to be an active role in this, or the role of doctor. Now, many times doctors say, okay, we didn't study those technical skills or technical things about innovation, and using those technology based terms. We don't really understand those things. That's probably the engineers who have known it. But if you see the idea shopping cart example also I've shown you, it's not that a doctor was sitting there all the time for talking about the healthcare aspect. You see, it was innovation is not about the product, right? In the first few lines of that video, the director of the idea who was there, he was mentioning that that product is not what is specific to us. Innovation is basically process, right? So for the doctor, innovation becomes a new process to learn for. And what I'm trying to say is that innovation is not about the technology that goes behind it. So for if I'm making a mobile phone, or if I'm making any technology gadget, it's not that the technology, like is it using artificial intelligence, or is it using any graphic coding and all those things. That's the technology that is going in. That is the headache of an engineer to think about. When it is coming about the usability of the user, and talking about business aspects about how to sell this particular product, that is where the doctor can also learn these things as an active person. So the doctor's role is definitely to empathize with your users, because in healthcare systems, in healthcare innovations, what happens is the patient and the doctor are the final users, right? These people are going to use the products which you're going to make. So these people are the main people to tell you what exactly is requirement, what is the need, what is the unmet clinical need that doctors look for. Therefore doctors role becomes very, very important in an innovation, in especially in a healthcare innovation sector, right? So
Yeah, sir.
I hope
And
that answers the question.
exactly, that does do. And
Yeah.
maybe we should move forward with our surprise kind of thing, like big
Yeah.
announcement waiting. So,
Yes.
all the people who are here, we are very happy to announce that M.I.C.E Lab is again announcing their digital internship program 2.0. And if you don't know what it is, I would briefly tell you that I was the part of their first program, and it was a 1 month program wherein we had to follow those 4D rules, and we were given 1 week for each D, like discovery, design, development, and deployment. And we were a team of 4 people who didn't know each other from different backgrounds: two biomedical engineers, one designer, and one MBBS student, medical student. So this team of four started with one problem statement from week 1. And then in the end of 1 month, you won't believe, but we came up with a product, and we are still continuing that project. And we hope that we launch that somewhere, or, this comes out in a real world and helps those and creates value, adds value to the users of it. So I would like Krishna sir to elaborate on this.
Yeah. So basically, this internship program, we ideally do it on a physical level. We have people coming in. So we had the previous 2 years also, we had people coming in as an intern, coming and spending time at the M.I.C.E Labs with us in the hospital, they, so we used to send them for a physical visit, and they used to sit in the hospital, identify the needs, come with problems, and they used to sit and develop those projects. Later on, during this pandemic time, many people, I think they hadn't had much academic commitments. They were all the classes became online, all the things became online. So we thought, okay, why don't we make this entire thing even online? So that is the time when we actually thought, why don't we launch this digital internship program with the same motto of having, but probably we will not be able to give that hospital kind of an experience, but I don't think so there is still any loss or anything to do with that. So that's how we came with this idea that let's have an interdisciplinary collaboration, that we have engineering, medical, design students coming together, and people even who don't know each other, the kind of teamwork that happens between each of them. And so we thought, okay, let's have this for a 4-week program in which all the that innovation processes is followed, where all the things have been come, as Sikta mentioned. So this internship program is, everybody can do it at the comfort of their homes, no need to come anywhere. It's a free program, there's no charges or fees. We put it, the intention and the main motto is that we try to give maximum amount of learning. And learning is not just that we give you these kind of sessions or webinars, but learning is when you do it. So in this internship, you actually get to do something, and at the end, probably you may not develop something physical or as a product which we can go and sell it in the market, but at least you are ready with the mindset of thinking and innovation, and it is going to kickstart your project, your dream project, which you would like to start. So that is where we try to bring these teams together with different mindsets, and coming together to with that kind of a process, and we guide these people. So every week we keep review sessions with the teams, where we try to understand what kind of challenges they are facing. We try to connect them with teams, we try to connect them with doctors, we try to connect with them with experts on those fields also, and that's how people come together and develop something. So we are mainly, for this internship program, we are looking for enthusiastic people who are willing to do something very, very energetically. They're willing to do. We don't want people who just want to come for the sake of exploring. Please don't just come for exploring it, but come for learning by experiencing it. Okay, so that is the entire digital internship program. The dates and all these things will be launched very soon. We are doing it according to the schedules and the academic commitments of the schools and colleges and the students, accordingly how they are placed in different areas, and how we can bring them together. Because bringing all these people even on a virtual platform, we also need to check about the individual availabilities and their individual times, this thing. Even though this is not your full-time internship which you do, basically you don't put your whole 24 hours into it, but it's basically daily 2-3 hours of work. If you put together, it's very well enough, and you can even have time for studying. So you have your time for students, you have time for studying. For others also want to learn, who are not working, who have just passed out, graduated, who still want to experience it and learn, this is a right platform for you to come and explore it out. So we'll be releasing all these things on our social media platforms. I'll be passing this to Sikta, to you, and to Innovation Cell Raipur. This will also be uploaded through all the social media announcements. So please, I would request all of you, all the viewers, whoever are seeing, please stay connected to all these platforms. You can stay connected to the M.I.C.E Labs LinkedIn page. You can even be connected to the Instagram and Facebook pages. Same with the NIT Raipur's Innovation Cell pages. You can stay connected with them, and they will probably guide you upon these announcements. Whenever it is coming, we will let you know very soon.
Yes, sir. And we'll make sure that it reaches the right hands and the right minds. So hoping for the best out of this internship program, we should end to this wonderful webinar. And thank you so much for giving your time and such valuable additions to our knowledge. And looking forward to working more with you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely. I would also look for more and more opportunities to interact with NIT Raipur, with more opportunities to share my knowledge, probably through webinars. And if things settle down, maybe I can come down one day to NIT Raipur, and we could interact with the students on a physical level, and we could do some sessions, and we could do some innovations coming in hand.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.